you think?
I believe Puffy may have engaged in some activity.
Right. They say the inmates, they fight each other over the right to make his bed in the morning.
Anybody doing that is participating in the activity.
Diddy is now being accused of obstructing justice.
Diddy running the jail, man. He running the spot. I think people thought Diddy was done when he got to jail. Like, okay, you're finally a regular person. And they're realizing, you know, Diddy didn't work all them years to get billions just to get locked up, and those billions can't help.
Diddy has allegedly been hosting freak-offs even behind bars. Yes, you heard that right. Rumors say prison hasn't stopped him from indulging in his usual antics. In fact, he's reportedly so popular that inmates are fighting over who gets to make his bed. The story is wild, and it's only getting crazier. Let's break down the shocking details.
To it.
And, you know, remember, we're all thinking that Diddy's like in super isolation, doesn't talk to no inmates. We later find out via even court filings by the government, he does. And this one inmate looked like he's not wrong because he says, hey, listen, Diddy's such a big player in the game in terms of, you know, his power, and he's that guy even in jail.
When Diddy got locked up, many assumed it was the end of the road for him. People believed he would finally face justice for all the harm he had allegedly caused over the years. However, it turns out we were all wrong. If anything, Diddy seems to be thriving in prison. Thriving might even be an understatement. Rumors suggest he is actually enjoying his time behind bars. Diddy is currently held at the notorious Metropolitan Detention Center, MDC, in Brooklyn, a prison infamous for its brutal conditions. This is the same facility that housed the likes of Ghislaine Maxwell, R. Kelly, and Jeffrey Epstein. These high-profile inmates described MDC as a living hell, a place worse than most other federal prisons. But Diddy? He appears to have transformed his experience into something far from the nightmare others endured. Reports from inside the facility indicate that Diddy has managed to maintain a level of comfort that most inmates could never dream of. Despite MDC's well-documented issues, including severe staff shortages, frequent violent altercations, and deplorable conditions, Diddy has carved out a little kingdom for himself. His celebrity status has carried over into prison, and he is allegedly being treated like royalty. In fact, sources claim that Diddy has attracted a group of prison groupies who literally fight over the privilege of making his bed in the morning. This newfound admiration has seemingly given Diddy an upbeat and positive demeanor. He reportedly walks around the facility encouraging inmates to smile more often, acting as if he's running some kind of motivational retreat rather than serving time in a federal detention center. But make no mistake, Diddy is still Diddy. His ego remains intact, and it appears he is not willing to share the spotlight. According to insiders, he threw a massive tantrum when Luigi Mangione, the man accused of orchestrating the killing of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, arrived at MDC. Apparently, Diddy was furious that Mangione was receiving more attention than him. And if that wasn't shocking enough, WAC 100 recently dropped a bombshell claiming that Diddy has been engaging in intimate encounters with his prison groupies behind bars. Just because he's locked up doesn't mean he's changed his ways. But Diddy's influence extends beyond the walls of MDC. Reports from late last year suggest that he was still attempting to intimidate and manipulate those involved in his legal battles. According to prosecutors, Diddy made multiple attempts to reach out to his alleged victims and key witnesses in an effort to sway them in his favor. The most disturbing part? He also allegedly tried to influence the jury selection process to secure a more favorable outcome in his upcoming trial. This all came to light after investigators reviewed recorded phone calls made from within the prison. Many assumed that Diddy's ability to influence his case would be severely limited while behind bars, but he proved every one wrong. Knowing that his own calls were being monitored, Diddy allegedly devised a workaround, paying at least 8 fellow inmates, presumably his prison groupies, through intermediaries so he could use their phone privileges undetected. And he didn't stop there. CNN reports that Diddy also exploited three-way calling to communicate with people not on his approved call list. This means he would call someone who was cleared, and that person would then patch in a third-party heber Diddy actually wanted to reach. On top of that, he he reportedly used an unauthorized third-party messaging system to send out hundreds of texts, ensuring law enforcement couldn't monitor his communications. All of these revelations came to light during a recent hearing where Diddy attempted, once again, to secure bail. This was his third attempt, but federal prosecutors are now more determined than ever to keep him behind bars. Their argument? If Diddy is capable of orchestrating this level of manipulation from within a prison cell, releasing him would pose an extreme danger to anyone involved in the cases against him. The situation continues to unfold, and while Diddy might believe he's still in control, the federal government appears to be closing in on him. The question remains, will his influence be enough to evade justice, or is this finally the beginning of his downfall?
You know, the filing that came out on Friday or Thursday by the government, which is a response to Diddy's new motion for bail, essentially said Diddy is using like 8 other inmates like personal access codes to call everybody he wants.
Exactly.
It's like, add this person to the call, add this person. Yo, like he's running the jail. So these inmates, I completely believe, and by the way, this is how the government paints.
This recent development paints a troubling picture for Diddy. Prosecutors allege that despite being detained at MDC, he continued efforts to influence and intimidate witnesses involved in his cases. They claim he attempted to blackmail victims into silence, and if that didn't work, he tried to sway them into providing testimony favorable to his defense. Additionally, the prosecutors accused Diddy of orchestrating social media campaigns to taint the jury pool and publicly leaking materials he believed would aid his case. He also allegedly contacted witnesses through third parties to exert influence. This comes on the heels of a judge rejecting Diddy's attempt to gag potential witnesses. The judge ruled that the First Amendment rights of witnesses took precedence over Diddy's request, highlighting that many alleged victims might never testify in his case. The ruling also pointed out that less restrictive alternatives must be explored before imposing limits on speech. The timing of this decision adds more fuel to the fire, raising questions about Diddy's efforts to manipulate the legal proceedings and the integrity of the case at hand.
On speech.
Accusations within the prosecution's motion to deny bail are very serious and will be considered very heavily by the judge, because the judge is going to want to ensure that he is not influencing witnesses and or contacting anyone to influence a trial in any way.
Diddy and his legal team are pushing back against the way investigators uncovered his alleged prison schemes, claiming they bypassed due process. His lawyers argue that the investigators improperly accessed materials protected by attorney-client privilege, including letters containing sensitive information related to his case. In a letter to Judge Aaron, Diddy's defense demanded an emergency hearing to clarify how investigators managed to search his sleeping area and personal belongings. They contend that targeting a pretrial detainee's privileged materials violates his due process rights. The investigators reportedly used this information to file a 30-page memorandum, which heavily impacted Diddy's chances of receiving bail. The documents allegedly reveal a disturbing reality. Diddy may still be attempting to influence victims and witnesses involved in his cases, further complicating his legal situation. This new revelation casts doubt on Diddy's claims of reform, as it suggests he might still pose a threat to those connected to his cases, raising the stakes in his ongoing legal battle.
Good morning to you, Rebecca. Sean Combs is accusing federal prosecutors of violating his constitutional rights by leafing through his handwritten jailhouse notes, calling it outrageous government conduct amounting to a substantive due process violation. The Fed seized those notes in a recent raid, and prosecutors used them to claim Combs was actively continuing to obstruct justice while in custody.
This ongoing legal battle surrounding Diddy seems to be getting more intense by the day, especially with the discovery of potentially damaging evidence. The judge's recent ruling against how investigators handled the search of Diddy's cell indicates a significant blow to the prosecution's case. By ordering that all copies of Diddy's handwritten notes be returned, and cautioning prosecutors from using any information from those notes unless they are confirmed not to be protected by attorney-client privilege, the judge has thrown a wrench in the prosecution's approach. This decision could drastically affect how the case proceeds, especially with the added scrutiny on whether the notes contain privileged materials. The notes reportedly contain sensitive information, including Diddy's business matters, family issues, and disturbing details about allegedly trying to influence witnesses or even obstruct justice. If these letters are deemed not protected by privilege, it could lead to even more serious charges against him. The prosecutors, however, argue that these materials aren't legally protected, which would mean Diddy could face additional obstruction of justice charges on top of the current allegations. It certainly raises the question of just how far Diddy might go to manipulate the legal process. His behavior suggests a pattern of attempting to control or intimidate those involved in his cases, whether through social media or more direct attempts to influence witnesses. It's clear that Diddy seems to view himself as above the law, and this has led many to wonder whether he truly believes he can escape the consequences of his actions. Whether or not his reign of terror can be stopped ultimately comes down to the legal system's ability to hold him accountable, especially with the added pressure of his influence and resources. It seems there are still many layers to this case, and only time will tell how the legal system handles these complex challenges. What do you think? Do you believe Diddy's legal troubles will finally catch up to him? Or do you think he'll continue to evade full accountability?